It's still TMI. And before we dropped off, we were talking about the current telecom tariff hike. It's been one hike or the other, from food inflation to, I think sometime we talked about metering of boreholes. I don't know how that conversation lasted. And of course, we went into the transport hike. From transport hike, we went into electricity, and right now we're talking telecom. Anyway, away from that, we'll be going straight ahead now as we shift gears to talk about something that will suit your nerves, something that will calm your spirit so you don't get so much, tensed and frustrated, as it were, because the situation is frustrating enough, I must say. And now we'll be talking about music, the Nigerian music industry. We'll be looking at the entertainment value it brings, and of course the commercial value, and not without the challenges that is bedeviling the industry. And that brings us to a guest who will be joining us virtually to x-ray all of these angles and of course bring us to the very issue we're talking about, which is the music industry. And of course I have with me still sitting here in the person of Wilson. Good to have you join us today.
I believe that we're going to have a robust discussion because talking about tariff hike, it's annoying. It can give one severe headache, even a migraine. It's like Nigerians are just the ones suffering. This hike on Nigerian citizens, that hike on Nigerian citizens. I don't know, it's only God that will help us. Like what you rightly said, music might just be a way out.
Before we go into music, I was even saying that maybe the next time we will be hearing another hike or another tariff hike will be on the oxygen we breathe. Maybe at that point in time, we'll be fine. But anyway, away from that, let's talk about music. So we'll be having our guest joining us virtually, as I said, in the person of Mayor Sachs, who is joining us from our Abuja studio. Good morning, Mayor, and thank you so much for joining us.
Thank you so much. Good morning. Nice to have you.
Same here. So let's talk about the music industry. It has not been so good, especially looking at the challenges we've been faced with currently. But tell us more about the industry. What is the value? What is the commercial value? How do people rate your industry, especially looking at it from your kind of music, talking about saxophone?
It's okay. You see, the importance of music in a country cannot be overemphasized. As we all know that currently, Nigeria is going through a lot. What has been keeping most of the youth out there is just music. You see, the passion to a kind of dish out what they have as a natural gift, that has been keeping them a lot. Now, looking at my kind of music, like the saxophone is one aspect of music that is really contributing currently to the growth of Nigeria. If we want to look at it holistically, we know that the first thing there is that music is really adding to the GDP of the country, because the economic value of music is coming from these areas that I'm talking about. So we can get a lot from the GDP. It can be boosted through music. Then one other part of it is another opportunity to create job employment for youth. It could be directly or indirectly. We can also use it as a form of tourism. We have opportunity of having people coming from every part of the world, you understand, to visit Nigeria, and definitely that will add to the growth of the country and several areas.
Yeah, it's interesting for us to note that a lot of people across the globe, are very fascinated and attracted to our kind of music. And interestingly, the Nigerian music industry, outside the oil that we export, is one of the biggest exports, about what we are known for in Nigeria. And like they say, music means a lot to different people. But on the basic, music generally is that very divine, way of communicating something very beautiful and poetic to the heart. Now, talking about your kind of music, how have you been able to get to the heart of your target audience?
It's okay. Looking at the saxophone, you see that
Yeah.
currently, like the saxophone music is really on a high demand because most of the jazz music you see around, so they are being portrayed, you understand, using the saxophone. So a lot of people are really demanding for it. And currently, if you even look at the Afro kind of music, you observe that there's a way we do the instrumental, and that is making a lot of people around the world to call for it. Most especially talking about Nigeria, most of the events you see currently, you see them inviting a saxophonist, you understand, to do like a special presentation. And that is a whole lot. That is a whole lot because the instrumental music doesn't really distract, you understand, doesn't distract a lot. So saxophone is one area that we have been using to really impact, you understand, the growth of the economy.
Okay, so talking about the youth whom your target audience is right now, how do they embrace this? Is there any school, is there any academy where they can go and learn this? Because obviously that particular craft you have is so fantastic, but a bit rare, especially looking at the environment sometimes we're confined with. We do not see academies or schools where people go to learn this craft. So is there anything you're putting aside for people to learn, like a legacy you are giving back to the society?
I mean, it's cool. Called Dambo International School in Abuja, and we also have another branch too in Kaduna. Basically, what I do is I'm the one handling the music department there. We've been able to raise a lot of youth, even younger ones. I think one of the examples of the people we have been able to impact, you understand, is a very young chap called Dimeji. The major has performed on a lot of platform, even international platform. And as at the time the boy started, he was at the age of 6, and he was able to really kind of deliver the skill of saxophone. Like uh, he was able to deliver that like very well. The boy is currently on a high demand because a lot of people are calling for him. So what we do is we use Dambo International School as a medium to really impact the society. We have a lot of people coming in. I have a boy currently called Mo. The boy is from China. The boy too is also here, you understand, having the training. We have close to like about 200 learners with us here in Dambo International School, learning the skill of music. And aside that, we also have our channel, which is the M Excellence Record, through which we give people opportunity to kind of learn that saxophone craft. I just put up materials on the YouTube for them. They can just go there, to pick one or two things. But currently, we are in Dambo International School, where we use the saxophone skill now to develop a lot of people.
Very interesting. In fact, looking at it from the responses you're getting from your school that you're putting up, and of course, those who are teaming up to this individual that you're training, it's something to behold. Now, let us talk a little bit about the commercial value, because you've given us a part of the educative value it provides, and of course, the entertainment value. Now, let's go down to Naira and Kobo, as they say, because obviously, life in itself is not just the flair. You must have to pay bills. So now let's talk about the commercial value of these. How profitable is saxophone as a craft that you're doing?
Actually, saxophone is very, very profitable. Very, very profitable in the sense that if you're very good and you're very skillful, now you see a lot of people, yes, and demanding for your services. Now, how do you kind of make money from saxophone? You can make money from saxophone based on what I said before. Now we have a lot of events coming up. Sometimes you go for maybe like commercial events where there's a need for a kind of entertainment, maybe jazz kind of entertainment. Now you actually, put up your bills, and you see those people paying the bills because they know you can deliver. And that's the reason why I'm talking about you being very, very versatile and skillful in handling the saxophone. So in several areas, you can make money. What's the first one? The first one, you can make money through a kind of trainings. because a lot of people are craving for saxophone skills and all of that. So if you are able to deliver that well, you can make a lot of money from saxophone skills, like trying to train people on how to play. Now, another one is a kind of putting up like a kind of recording studio. How do you put up recording studio? You observe that it's not everyone that can record a saxophone and you hear the kind of tone you want. So for you to get that tone quality, you need someone that is like an expert in that area, that will be able to look at the nitty-gritty of recording a saxophone. And if you're able to do that, then you see a lot of saxophonists from all around the world coming to your studio to do like a recording. So that's another means through which you can make good money. Then the other one is going for events. Now, going for events like commercial events, we have a lot of people craving, you understand, for jazz performances, saxophone performances, and all of that. So from there, you can also make money, because definitely you have to you have to kind of discuss your worth before going for such events. And you see people coming for it, and they pay you well from it.
Me, another thing to chew, especially looking at the fact that you say there are some certain events that saxophonists are invited. And if you agree with me, you've got a target audience, because come to look at it, not every individual will want to come sit down, to be entertained by a saxophonist. So you're looking at the A-list kind of audience, if I'm not wrong. What's your take on that?
Can I get that again? Hello?
Did you get what I said?
No,
okay,
please,
let me repeat myself. I said, you talked about the event, and when you're invited for an event as a saxophonist, in my head, I'm already thinking the kind of audience you are going there to entertain. These are not just the everyday kind of audience that vibe to the bass bowl, if you understand what I mean. So what is your take on your selected or targeted audience when it comes to people that listen to your kind of craft?
Okay, basically, if you check the growth of in Nigeria is really on a high side. When I mean on a high side, a lot of people, in fact, like 80% of people around Nigeria love saxophone music. I think there's something special about the sound coming from saxophone. Yeah. Aside from the spiritual part of it, the sound is so pleasing. It's so entertaining that a lot of people want to hear that. So most times we don't struggle, with the targeted audience. What is important is your song selection. If you're very good with song selection, in fact, you have a lot of people willing to listen to you. But if you are very poor with song selection, I think you have issues. That's where you have issues with your audience. But if you're very good with the kind of music they love to hear, then you're fine.
Are you telling me that if you have, to play at a very big platform like we have it today in the Eco hotels of this world, are you telling me that you can have a 10,000 capacity filled with people who are coming there to listen to saxophone? Is that how profitable it can be?
You see, your song selection matters. Your song selection matters a lot. Like if you pick a song that cuts across every individual in that place, before you know it, you see them vibing to it. We have people like Yemi Sax doing very well. When you talk about Yemi Sax, you're talking about a renowned saxophonist. And you see the way people love to listen, to him. You have people like Femi Kuti. Then we have a lot of them that are into saxophone music. They don't have issues with their audience because the sound coming from the saxophone is really pleasing and entertaining. So if you have that kind of capacity, you see a lot of people vibing. As long as you're good with your song selection, you don't have issues.
All right, now talking about song selection, you get to realize that in recent times, Nigerian youths are driven by what you call the Afrobeat. So tell me, how does a saxophonist cope in this particular climb when youths are so crazy about the likes of Davido, about the likes of Wizkid, about the likes of Burna, you just name it?
It's okay. Now, you see, talking about Afro pop now, I think Afro pop is one of the genre of music that is really trending around the world. In fact, even the foreigner love Afro pop even more than the Nigerians. You see them vibing to it and all of that. So when it comes to song selection, so basically what you do is you have to check trending songs. When you're dealing with youth, you check trending songs. So when you pick these trending songs, that's exactly what you're dishing out when you get up there. As soon as you have opportunity, to have some of these youths in your event, you just pick the. In fact, by the time you select like 10 songs, 10 current songs, and you start dishing them out, then you see a lot of people vibing to it. In fact, the acceptance will just be like 100%. And the sweet part of it is that as you're dishing out this current selection, you see them, also trying to give you like a moral support because they know that what you're selecting is what is appropriate, you understand, for them at that particular point.
All right.
So hold on now. So are you now saying that the rejuvenation of a saxophone in the music industry is tied to the Afro pop or Afro beat by Nigerian youths?
Like the saxophone is really adding a lot. If you have been following the set of people I mentioned before now, you observe that what's it called now, acceptance, you understand, by the youth when it comes to saxophone music. I just observed that a lot of them are really willing to vibe to it. No, because of the courage. When you see a saxophonist, you see the courage. They now talk about a good one, like a skillful saxophonist, now trying to make like a proper selection of song. Then you just see that acceptance, and that makes you very comfortable.
All right, so we've talked, extensively about the entertainment value. We've talked about the commercial value. Now we are gradually delving into the challenges. But before we go into the challenges, I'm going to ask you two questions in one. Now, my first question is, how long have you been as a saxophonist? And of course, who are those that you have role modeled after? Those who you see as pace setters? And what are those values that drives you with these persons? Did you get my question?
Okay. I think, yes, I got your question. I picked up the saxophone in Delta State when I went for my NYC service. That was 2010. And since then, I've been doing a lot, you understand, with the saxophone. And the saxophone has really brought me to this level where I am currently. So that's why I've been able to develop a music studio called M Excellent Records. We did a lot based on the benefits that came, you understand, with the playing of saxophone. So that's that. It was 2010 that I started playing the saxophone. That's close to like almost 14 years plus now.
Who are those that you role model after? Who are those that you see as your role models? Those who set the pace for you and you follow?
Okay, like the first person that really helped my saxophone music is the person we call Mike Aremo. Mike Aremo is a renowned saxophonist, you understand, in Nigeria, and is currently based in London. So it's one person that has really influenced my sound. In fact, most of the inspiration I got while, you understand, learning to play the saxophone came from Mike Aremo. In fact, he's someone I respect so much because of his choice of music and his dexterity when it comes to playing the saxophone. So that's one person. Then another person is a US-based saxophonist. She's a female. We call her Candile Doffer. So Candile Doffer is one person that has really influenced my saxophone playing. Looking at the fact that she's even a female, that alone, you understand, is a kind of inspiration that if a female can pick up a saxophone and play like this, definitely, it means a male should be able to do better. So Candile Doffer, Mike Aremo. So these are the two persons I really kind of follow while I was picking up the saxophone.
You tend to be very picky, and of course, you've really pitched your tent so high. Now, you've been practicing since 2010. What has been the journey thus far in terms of the gains, in terms of the losses, the challenges, things you could have done better then that you know now. So just give us an analysis of those.
It's okay. You see, playing the saxophone is a whole lot. When I mean a whole lot, most especially when you want to be a kind of skillful saxophonist, it's very important that you pay attention to certain things. One of those things is purchase of a good saxophone. Now, if you're talking about a good saxophone, because it adds to your tonality, picking up a good saxophone currently, like a professional saxophone or like intermediate saxophone, so you can't spend nothing less than 500,000 naira. I think the least you can get for intermediate saxophone is about 500,000 naira. So picking up the saxophone, it was really challenging getting a professional saxophone. So that has been like a major challenge. You have to save and save and save for you to be able to kind of pick up a good saxophone. So that's one. And the reason why it's important to pick up that good saxophone is because of the tonality. Because when you're using a student saxophone, you understand, you might not be able to get the kind of tone you want compared to the professionals when you hear their sound and all of that. So that's like a major challenge, you understand, why practicing the saxophone. So I think another thing is getting a space to practice. In fact, that is a real challenge. Most times when you are playing the saxophone, you see people come around and say, you are disturbing us. But when you start attaining a good tone, your tone now will appeal to the people around you, and you see them trying to come around. So what you hear is just like, wow, I love the tone. What song are you playing? I just love the tune and all of that. But why coming up, as a saxophonist, is very, very difficult to get a place to practice because of the sound coming from the saxophone. So that's a major challenge. You understand? The challenge of buying a good saxophone, that's one. Another one is getting a space, you understand, to practice and all of that. Then the other one is the ability. Like if you're playing the saxophone, it's very important that you exercise, you understand, a lot so that you can get that what's it called, that dexterity when you're playing. So it's very important, and you need good food to be able to play the saxophone. So that's like a challenge. So if you don't have access to good food, you might be struggling with the saxophone because it takes.
You just got us laughing here.
Hold on now. You talked about good food, Mayor. You talked about good food, of course, getting a very good saxophone. To get good food right now in the country, you know the cost of that. And of course, the cost of saxophone, half a meal. How do you think youths can be encouraged to really go into that particular line of music, knowing fully well that it's a tad bit expensive, the future of saxophonists, please, Mayor?
You see, the truth about it is, experiencing all of this, why picking up the saxophone as a major field, you understand, in music, it's actually very difficult. In fact, when I dabbled into it, I didn't know it would be that expensive. I only just have that passion for it. You understand? But thank God for my parents, and thank God for the church, you understand, I attended then. You understand? They've been very supportive. So I think we can reach out, you understand, to these youth that are willing to pick up the saxophone in several areas. First, the government can really give them that opportunity of giving them maybe a fund, you understand? So maybe they set up like a kind of firm that can support musicians. And supporting musicians is that it has to do with those one playing the saxophone, you understand, just like what you said before now. So if they can set up this firm where they can be encouraged, they give them like a kind of what's it called now, like a loan support. So when they give them that loan support, maybe they can decide to spread it, or they can even decide to just do it like a kind of support, you understand, for growth in saxophone industry. So I think that will go a long way if they are able to set up something like that. So you kind of support them, you understand, with money, or you can even purchase like a saxophone and give it to them, you understand, as a gift. So if they also have a place of worship, maybe Christians and other what's it called, other people practicing other religion too. So what's it called, the religious body can support them by providing them with some of these instruments. I think that will go a long way. But coming up as a saxophonist, you understand, picking up a saxophone is very expensive. Imagine 500,000 naira for intermediate saxophone. If you're talking about student saxophone, currently I think is about 220,000 naira. So, and that would be a lot for some people. So most time when you encounter people that are willing to play the saxophone, that's like one of the major issue. They will tell you they don't have supporters, they don't have, you understand, people that can really help them, you understand, to purchase it. And you know you cannot share the mouthpiece. Looking at the health implication, so you can't share mouthpiece. I usually don't share my mouthpiece, so you must have your own personal saxophone. So the government can come in this area, and some of our successful musicians too can also support when they see people that are developing interest in this area of saxophone playing.
We have just barely 3 minutes to call it a wrap on this interview. You just dived into the aspect I really want to dive into before George will call it a wrap on this segment. Talking about health concerns, do you think that there are health issues associated with one indulging constantly into blowing or playing the saxophone music instrument?
Okay, no. Now, when I mean health implication, in fact, I'm talking about you having like a contact with saliva. You understand? Talking about some of these issues around health issues around currently. So having a contact with saliva will not be good. You understand? Will not be a good thing, for you as a saxophonist. So that's why we don't share our mouthpiece. So you must have your personal mouthpiece. But talking about the saxophone, do you know the saxophone is being recommended, you understand, to people with certain illness, like people with heart issues and all of that. So if you have a heart issue, definitely the saxophone can help solve it, because it's just like you're exercising the heart. So you trying to blow through the mouthpiece, there's a way the heart will be pounding, and as the heart is pounding, it's developing and improving the muscles, you understand, around the heart. So that's why medical doctors, most especially outside Nigeria, they recommend the saxophone, you understand, the saxophone playing to most people with heart issues. So it's really helping, you understand, to improve the heart. And that's why when you see saxophonists, you see them very agile, you see them very strong, you understand. So when you play, in fact, playing a saxophone for, let's say, 10 minutes, it's just like you understand, jogging for like 2 hours.
Yeah, we're pressed for time. So you've already given us all we need to know. But looking at the average cost of saxophone, it's enough for an individual to say it will cost an arm and a leg. And because you don't share one, you've got to buy one. Now, what is your final words as we coast home for someone who is contemplating going into that industry and thinking of how much it will cost him? I mean, it's going to disorganize the pocket, if you say.
It's okay. For those that are willing to go into the saxophone playing, I want to encourage them that they should not lose interest. They should keep, you understand, they should keep they should keep their gaze on making sure that they get into that level of playing. And how do you get into that level of playing? Don't get discouraged. That's number one. And number two is that you have to try as much as possible, you understand, to be able to get one for yourself. If it takes you saving, you understand, for 6 months, it doesn't matter, because the benefit that comes with playing the saxophone, in fact, is a whole lot. So if you need to save for it, please save for it. If you need to approach people, you understand, that can really support you, please go ahead and do that. Just make sure that you have a saxophone to yourself. And the moment you put in your best in playing that saxophone, honestly, you will see a lot coming out from it. Apart from the fame, you understand, you have opportunity.
Thank you so much, Mayor. We are pressed for time right now. Thank you for that particular insight. I appreciate you.